Welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. My name's Ian.
And my name's Nikki, bringing you the best in comics and graphic novels and updates from the festival.
Hello and welcome to the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast, episode 32. My name's Ian.
And I'm Nikki.
And it's a crime fest of an episode.
No, that's not really crime, is it?
Well, it is on telly. We're talking books, you know.
Books. Books don't make a sound.
Well, they make a smell.
Oh, stop. Are you in the sniffing book thing?
Smell
I don't get the sniffing. Considering how many books I read, I don't get the sniffy book thing.
Well, you're wrong.
Well, as I've been told many times by people,
and you
that
will
I'm wrong.
continually be told. So this episode we have on the show.
Go on. Tell the world.
Ian Rankin.
I know. How exciting.
Amazing. How amazing was that?
It was very, very, very amazing.
It was. So he's on shortly. We are reviewing a collection of crime-themed graphic novels.
We are.
As well as some other stuff.
Yes.
Pete has been talking to the printer company Mixam. Mm-hmm. What an odd thing.
I think it's great.
All about comics and printing and so on and so forth. And Mike has also joined in with a comic-themed episode and looking at some comic-themed books. Mm-hmm. Let's look at some news, though, first.
Go do it. Please don't.
News. Thank
wow.
That was amazing.
That was not amazing.
William Gibson's Alien 3 script is to become a comic by Dark Horse. Now, Alien 3 is well known for having so many issues in the writing stages.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No.
And they came out with the mixed results at the end of it, which wasn't quite as good as we wanted it to be.
No, that's true.
So they're going to take his script, which I'll be honest, I know nothing about in the actual storyline, and create a comic book out of it. So that could be quite cool.
Yes. Following
on from that, Joaquin Phoenix.
Wow, I'm sure that's exactly how he says his name.
Hi, I'm Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, I can see him doing that every time he's introduced.
You think?
Mm-hmm. No,
okay. He's trying to make himself chuckle.
It's a sad day when that happens, isn't it?
Wacky. He's going to be playing the Joker, which I think is brilliant.
Yes.
We seem to have Joker news every time.
There's a lot of Joker news.
However,
go on.
They're making an origin movie. Do we need an origin movie of the Joker?
No.
Do we need a Joker standalone movie?
No, because he's a supporting actor.
Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, I get the Suicide Squad, and I think
you can
the
have
original
a lot of them
movie
together.
would have been brilliant with the Joker as a baddie.
Yes.
But we don't need to know where the Joker came from. Whatever story they choose.
Yeah.
We didn't need it in the original Batman film. They throw it in there, fine, because it was the first time they'd put Batman on the big screen. But what Nolan did with the Dark Knight trilogy, having no story of where he came from, was perfect. He doesn't need to come from anywhere.
No, so it's going to have to be an incredibly strong storyline. It's going to have to be very, very well written. Otherwise, it's just going to fall flat.
It's just, But him as an actor, though, as being a Joker, I could see that working.
Yes. But again, origin of the Joker from what age?
Yes, true. Who's going to be young Joker?
Is there?
Who's going to be the little
young
joke?
I'm sure there wasn't a little joke.
A little joke.
Christmas cracker joke.
And finally, Jamie Foxx, which we all know is going to be Spawn in the the reboot by Blumhouse. Reboot.
The reboot.
Spawn. Have you seen the Spawn movie?
I have. A long, long time ago.
Yeah, it's definitely aged very badly.
Yeah.
It was computerized to high heaven.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I can't tell you that much about it.
Because it wasn't very impressive.
No, it's not one where someone goes, "Oh, did you see Spawn?"
Ooh.
And no.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So, first of all, Jamie Foxx, amazing actor. Fine, brilliant.
Yeah.
But what's more interesting to me is Blumhouse doing it.
Well, we like them.
They've done some amazing films. Get Out, The Purge.
Yep.
Quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy. Is that a thing?
Yes. Amongst many other films. And they're all low budget horrors, essentially, is what they do. Or action horrors.
Well written. I have trouble with my R's and my W's.
And this, I believe, is following the same suit. It will be, compared to comic book movies, low budget. So I can only see this going the right way.
Yes. We don't need all the effects if you've got a strong script, as we keep saying.
Yeah. The only problem with Spawn is it's about his cape and stuff, isn't it? So yeah. So unless you completely change that side of things,
but then you're not staying true to the...
Well, it doesn't have to stay fully true to be on screen. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Sit on the fence.
I have faith in Blumhouse.
Yes.
Because they have yet to put a foot wrong.
Well, it's always the first time.
But they have yet to make a film out of something, of a series or anything either as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Right. This week we had delivered the long-awaited Etherington Brothers How to Think When You Draw.
My Bible, yes.
It's a load of rubbish, isn't it? What a waste of time.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that. No.
What? I mean, we didn't know what we were getting or anything, and then we got it, and it's just a load of rubbish.
They'd be like, well, we don't like them anymore.
So, I mean, we're going to just briefly look at this, just because it's an amazing piece of work.
Brilliant.
However, warning, you can't buy it.
No, we'll just tell you about this amazing book that you can't have.
But they will, from what I gather, be doing another Kickstarter down the road for some new material, and then you'll be able to include that.
This is only volume 1, isn't it?
This is only volume 1. So I'll give us a quick rundown of it.
It's exactly what any artist needs. It's how to draw bits and pieces. It's like I have trouble with hands and things and feet sometimes. And this just shows you how to draw hands, how to think about how hands move. You know, I'm just choosing one thing out there. I mean, you've got how to draw robots, how to draw tentacles, how to draw
horizon,
wiring.
Vehicle stance.
Yeah, how to draw horses. How to draw pigs, how to draw squirrels. It's got everything you would ever want. Did
you say horse and pigs then just randomly?
No, I know there's in there. I've read that book.
No, because I flicked those exact pages as you said that. That's a weird thing, but anyway, go for it.
I don't know what to say now. But yeah, from like different creations for like gaming areas and things like that. So you got like houses and junk houses and things that fly, and it's amazing, and it's a must-have for anyone that even dabbles in it. From kids to my age, you know, me being the oldest drawer in the world. Of course. You know, it's for everyone. It doesn't matter what your ability is because it's so amazing. And
if you don't want to pay the money, or if you want to have a look, they're all free.
Oh, they're all online.
On his website as well, completely free.
Brilliant. I just wanted it all so I could flick through and find the bits I need.
It is a beautiful book, and printed by Mixam, don't you know?
It all links together.
We're not sponsored or anything. We're not promoting. But yeah, it's a brilliant book, and those guys, well, it's Lorenzo, but between the pair of them, they are just amazing creators. And I advise, if you're into drawing of any way, shape, or form, the next Kickstarter, get it. Yeah. Definitely don't miss out.
It's a beautiful hardback book.
Yeah, and he sends you a nice message as well.
He did. Did you keep it?
I kept the picture.
I was going to get that framed.
A brief one as well, which we just read, 24/7 by the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. They do this annually. This is from a few years back, where they get so many creators to create a story within 24 hours, and they print it and done, and it's out.
Yeah, amazing it is.
So this one has got Basinski, Berry, Dici, Johnson, Cadwell, McIntyre, Obata, and Teagle. You know the first names, I hope, for all of them. We're not going to test you, Nikki.
Why look at me and say that? Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
There's some lovely stories in here. The Anywhere Road by Fumio Obata is my particular favourite, but I think you liked I Blame Grandma by Joe Dietze.
Yes, I did.
It's beautiful short stories. They're currently, I believe, reduced the price a little bit on this. Well worth grabbing. And we're giving a copy of this away free. There'll be a competition later on in the episode.
Competition time.
After
have you
Mr.
done a song
Rankin.
For it? Have you? Have you sung a song?
Competition time.
Yeah, no, you haven't, have you?
So after Mr. Rankin's interview, we'll be giving that away.
Yes. With
a question that I've yet to make up.
You've got a few minutes now.
Okay. Right, a couple of graphic novel reviews. So we wanted to do something crime related. Yes. I don't know why. For this episode. So we looked into crime graphic novels, and it's not something that we sort of read normally.
No, which is a shame, because I read crime books all the time.
But there isn't
I can get rid of the body.
There isn't a mass amount out there in comparison to other genres, you know. One of them I didn't realise I had on my shelf.
That's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well,
Hang your head.
The Batman, The Long Halloween by Jeph Loeb and Sim Sale. It's one of those books that people rave over. And it's sort of it's an introduction to many of the Batman characters, or some of the Batman characters. And it's sort of designed to go a year one as an overarching series. Back in there. So, do you want to give us the blurb?
Oh, I have got a cough, so it could be awful.
Don't cough, it's Batman.
A costumed hero learning he can trust no one, a serial killer using the holidays to mark his handiwork, a crime lord trying to hold on to a crumbling empire, a city beset by gangsters becoming a haven for freaks, an honest district attorney hiding a terrible secret, a dark woman tempting the dark knight detective, and friendship that would be shattered forever.
So this doesn't see Batman going around beating everybody up left, right and centre, does it? It's
no, he does some beating.
He does some, but of course he does, he has to. It's a much more investigatory type book.
I think it's quite gritty. And
he's using his detective skills, which I feel a lot of the time, certainly in the movies, they ignore that side of, because he is the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, and he is intelligent.
He is intelligent. Super intelligent, everything.
No, really not.
And it follows... I
think it follows more like Batman, Dent and Gordon. I like the relationship that the book goes on through that.
Yeah.
As they try and figure out what's happening. And then the dark undertones coming through.
And it's following the villain, not the Calendar Man, because he's already out there. Holiday, that's it. I get confused.
No, Calendar Man stays in jail. Yes. I can honestly say that one. That's not a spoiler.
Who's killing particular people from the mob in particular at certain points throughout the year. So Christmas,
Father's Day, Thanksgiving,
all that sort of thing. Halloween,
funnily enough.
And it's following the story of these guys trying to work out who has done this crime.
But also putting they're kind of being a bit naughty as well, haven't they, when they burn all the money.
Yeah.
So
it's that learning into it of Dent. He doesn't want to. He's a character who will break the law in his own way.
Yes, yeah. It
to
shows
save
him how hot-headed he is, isn't it? Yeah, and things in there.
And it does show Batman, the other side of Batman, and how he plays and how he captures people, as opposed to, as I say, just flying down and whacking them. Pow! The art is gorgeous, very noir, I suppose is a good way to say it. It stands out, and it's got so many different characters.
It's got all your favourite characters.
All your favourite characters.
All your favourite villains.
Well, no, it's
some
not.
Of your favourite
villains. It's not got Clayface.
Hasn't got Clayface.
Bring a movie of Clayface.
All right.
Now.
Calm down.
Okay. But yeah, well worth a read.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a mature read, and I like that.
Because we're mature.
Like a cheese.
No one's ever called me mature.
No, they're not going to,
thanks.
ever.
Yeah, go and grab that if you've not read it. I'm sure a lot of people have, but yeah, it's well worth. If you want a different type of Batman.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
The other one, She Died in Terrabone, a Sam Kimi...
You're doing well.
Kimimura mystery.
Well done.
By Kevin Church and TJ Kirsch. I'm trying to see if he's got some blurb for you to read, love.
No, you're going to have to... Go on, you can do it.
I'm looking for blurb. There's no blurb. So this is based off a small comic series, I believe was in a newspaper in America. And it is a detective story, essentially. As detective story-ish as you can get.
Yes, yeah.
Do you want to give us a brief rundown? No? You can't remember?
I can. Well, he's more of a not washed up detective. He does get things done. I mean, he's a Japanese
I wouldn't say he's washed up at all.
I think he is a bit, because he's always getting beaten up in that.
But that feels like his plan in some way. It gets him the information he wants.
I suppose so, but I just felt, because he's quite hard drinking, he's quite, he's a little bit naughty with the ladies.
Yes.
I think it's the best way of putting that. It just makes me feel he's a bit more washed up because of that. But of course, he's then going to America to the redneck type places of America to try and find this millionaire's daughter that's gone missing.
Yeah,
and he meets all that prejudice, all that racism as well, and he finds it hard to break through all of that to try and find the truth of what happened to her. The fact that everyone's got a secret agenda, all these places, these tight-knit communities pulled together, I found that quite interesting. The conclusion of it's harsh, and I like that.
Obviously, by the title, this girl is going to go and find his dead.
Well, I think the fact she died in, yes, she's...
But it's the way the town sort of pulled together against him as well, isn't it? They all work against him.
But they're all working together on some level because it's all, you've got a top, not like a mob boss, but that kind of crime
It's
lord.
like a mob boss sort of sending his daughter to go and sleep with him to then have a reason to beat him up sort of thing. It's odd.
And anywhere he goes, when he asks questions, he just gets abuse and or hit.
Yeah. He's hit many times.
Times. So,
and then he owes money to someone as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, so they're after him as well.
See,
that's what I mean, they're washed up.
That's what, in some way, I don't know.
He's living it on the edge then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough.
He's trying to juggle a lot of things at once and trying to stay one step ahead of everything. And I'm not sure he's wholly successful in that.
But no, I really enjoyed it, I must admit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I went in because I'm not a massive fan of crime books.
You won't be able to help me hide the bodies.
And I went in thinking I wouldn't enjoy it, but the writing is such, and the character's such an interesting being that it really pulls you in.
Yeah, because you kind of like him but don't like him.
Yeah. And the black and white artwork's really cool as well, all the way through. It does feel right for a newspaper or something like that. It really does.
Keep you reading. It kept me reading. I sat and read it in one sitting, so...
Yeah, so go and grab that. I think we need to see if there's any more of that series, or certainly from those two guys.
Yeah.
As well. Certainly.
Again, another mature read.
Yes. Mature.
Look at that. We've had a mature reading time.
Just like me.
Okay. I'm just going to agree now. Yes, dear.
Before we hand over to Sir Rankin.
I was going to say, he should be a Sir.
Sir Rankin.
Yeah.
We watched again. You made me watch Dread again last night. I'd say made. I didn't exactly argue.
I'd had a couple of Tim Let's watch Dread!
I just wanted to quick go over that. Why do you love it so much?
I love that film. It's like a perfect Dread film. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's action and gritty and dark and dirty, and I love the visuals on it. I think they're amazing. They just draw. I could watch that film every day. I really wouldn't get bored of it.
With all the blood. Splat.
Yeah.
Splat.
The bright red blood. But yeah, it's so dark. It's so gritty. I'd like to think I haven't read many Dread
No, you need
things,
to.
so I need to. And it really makes me want to read them. And then other things
and you will see similarities between the storytelling and the way it's put together, and you'll understand why the original movie was not right.
No, well, I know it's not right.
No, well, it can be rubbish, but it could still sort of be based on, and it is based on a story, but it just isn't right in any way, shape, or form, where this feels like short, sharp story.
Yeah.
Simple story. That's the thing. It's generally Dread stories are simple.
Yeah. It was a simple go find the mob boss killer. It's brilliant. I just love it. I love it with a passion. It's probably one of my favourite films.
And it's just a shame that there won't be another one.
There needs to be another one.
We say that. I mean, it depends
we need
how well.
Start an online petition. Another one.
That's already been done.
I said another one.
Depends how well this TV series does. Mega City 1.
When does that come out?
Not sure. They've not said anything since.
Is it one of those ones?
It's being filmed at the moment, essentially.
Yeah.
And if that does well, then there could be another film. Because obviously, what's his name? I've forgotten the actor's name. Anyway.
Yes. Scotty from Star Trek.
He said he will do it, and there's a good chance he'll be in a TV series in some way, shape or form, even if it's just like a
He
one-off.
does Dread so well, he just needs a pair to bottom, and I'd have been happy.
Dread isn't a sexualised character.
No, I know.
There is nothing about Dread.
That's what I think I love about that film so much as well. There is no sexualisation of any characters.
No,
Anderson does not fancy
him.
him.
There can be occasionally in the comics with Anderson, depending on who the creator is, but not normally in a Dread story. It's in her own stories.
Yeah,
That's a bit
and
different.
Dread is like totally down the line. Yeah. He is a machine, and I love that.
No, so again, I'm sure you've all seen it, but if you haven't,
oh God, watch it tonight.
Just watch.
And then tell me how much you loved it.
Yes. So we're back after Pete and Mike and Sir Rankin.
Sir Lord.
Some news on the festival.
Yeah.
And also a competition to win this graphic novel.
Mike's Mutterings.
Hello and welcome back to Mike's Mutterings. This episode I'll be delving into Dark Entries, the first foray into comics by our main guest Ian Rankin. Dark Entries came out in 2009 from Vertigo Comics and concerns probably their most cult character ever, John Constantine. He's the star of their Hellblazer series. So, how did best-selling crime author Ian Rankin get to write a comic? Well, quite simply, Vertigo just asked him out of the blue. As a comic fan as a kid, he just said yes. I remember an interview back in the day when it was announced that he'd be writing a 6-issue Hellblazer story arc. But this actually turned out to be the graphic novel Dark Entries instead. And it is a little different for a graphic novel. Firstly, I don't think I've ever seen a non-hardback edition. It is the small paperback size though, and the excellent Werther Dell'Edera cover is adorned with a familiar, large font Ian Rankin that graces most of his crime fiction. In fact, it just looks like a book. The cover declares it is a John Constantine novel, and references Ian's other current bestseller at the time, Exit Music, his 17th Inspector Rebus novel. There was little at first glance to alert a casual browser that it was indeed a graphic novel. I've always assumed that this was Vertigo's intention to capitalise on Ian's reputation as a crime fiction writer to draw in a new and a different audience perhaps. And it really is a book of two halves. It is literally split 50-50 white paper, black paper on the edges, which makes it really distinctive on the bookshelf. Now, I'm particularly wary of my mutterings this episode, not because of my rapidly failing memory, but because it has added pressure. Not only is the author Ian Rankin being interviewed on this very episode, but most importantly, I am not the life and times of John Constantine expert in the family. That mantle belongs to my sister Sharon, who really is a JC obsessive. But here goes anyway. This is my quick 101 of John Constantine, and it's probably going to be wrong. John is a magician, trickster, and occult investigator. Born of a long line of magicians, he has a mastery of illusion, necromancy, scrying, and even time travel. But he excels most at literally making his own luck for the situation. He actually originated as a reoccurring character in Swamp Thing, but it was a while before he retained his own comic series, which was actually named Hellblazer. Originally Hellraiser, but unfortunately the film actually came out at the same time and DC backed down and simply called theirs Hellblazer instead. This Liverpudlian reprobate lives mostly on his wits, his British sarcasm and chain-smoking. His definite 80s origin informed much of his disposition. He's working class, he's an ex-punk. Did I mention he looks exactly like Sting? Well, he does, and there's a reason for that. He was created that way, but DC Vertigo don't advertise that. But there's a little bit more on that later. Constantine is part of the DC universe, although he tends to sort of hang around on the fringes of the darker, non-superhero parts of that universe, occasionally intertwining stories with Sandman or Shade the Changing Man. The full story of John Constantine is very long and very complex. Although he is a humanitarian at heart, he does still remain the anti-hero with dubious morals. He walks a tightrope between heaven and hell, and through trickery, bargains and threats, he's kind of kept himself away from both of them. He's even managed to sell his soul to multiple purchasers as well. Those close to him are destined to die, and his illustrious ancestry and family are equally damned. The DC Universe New 52 revamp saw John Constantine very much part of the superhero world, entering the Dark Justice League. I think that this may actually be greenlit for a film now. This DC Universe John Constantine is intended to be a very separate one from Vertigo's John Constantine, though, and that's been confirmed by several writers. The New 52 Constantine really divided fans. As a character, he definitely puts the cult in a cult, and in my view is one of the most characterful icons of the DC Universe, though I do prefer him in non-superhero duties, just doing what he does best. Which brings me back to Dark Entries. I've always thought it to be a fantastic jumping on point for John Constantine. It relies very little on knowledge of his past exploits or family history, and instead it's kind of a nice isolated standalone story for our eponymous hero. The basic outline of John's personality is quickly portrayed in a matter of pages, thanks to great economy of writing. John's sarcastic, acerbic nature is on show immediately, and the basic concept of the story is quickly established. In film noir style, he's hired to do what he was put on this earth to do, to be an occult detective. With the first great twist being that it's a sort of a closed-room mystery in the form of a Big Brother / Most Haunted style reality show. Although the aim of the show is to frighten the contestants into leaving, the producers are forced to call John in as a fake housemate when other more frightening events take place inside, outside the control of the TV show executives. Now, spoofs and pastiches of the Big Brother era of programming abound now, but this predates them, and it adds a truly unique twist to it. This all-important second twist is something I just can't reveal. It really would spoil too much. The other housemates are quickly established, and they bring a lot of entertainment to the story, and this kind of feels a bit light-hearted for a Constantine adventure, but only for the first half. As the story progresses, you realise that it's a haunted house scenario, where you're basically placing bets on who makes it to the next morning alive. Constantine's persona is captured well, and I really like some of the uniquely British references in there. And I have to smile at the thought of American readers having to Google what the hell Hollyoaks is. So, remember I mentioned John looked like Sting? That's something that the film and subsequent TV show forgot all about, but not the real fans, oh no. And that includes Sting. On October the 30th, it will be 30 years of Hellblazer. Sting will not only be writing the foreword for the 30 Years Commemorative Collection edition to be published, but he even actually dressed up as the anti-hero himself and posted a video to actually announce that fact. And if you think that's weird, then just wait till you meet the real John Constantine. Creator Alan Moore and many other writers have. Seriously, Google meeting John Constantine in real life. It's going to be a good waste of half an hour of your life and, well, make of it what you will. Till next time.
We have with us Ian Rankin today. Thank you very much for coming on the episode.
Yeah, welcome.
As far as Wikipedia goes, 25 novels to your name, is that right?
No, it's more than that.
Oh, Wikipedia's let us down. How many is it now then?
I don't know, but I mean, it's at least 30 novels. I mean, it's 20. There's at least 20 in the Rebus series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's over 30 books in total.
I'll never use Wikipedia again.
No.
Nah, yeah. Well, I don't trust it either. But let's keep going.
So take us back to the 60s. What comics were you reading back then?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a household where my parents weren't great readers. There weren't many books around, but I was hooked on comics from a really early age. Mm-hmm. And comics were affordable literacy. You know, it was within everybody's reach. You could get 1 or 2 comics a week, and that was a lovely treat. Mm. So I can go way back to the early 60s when I'd have been, 2 or 3 or 4, and it would have been the Bimbo, would have probably been the first comic I read. Very quickly then moving on to the Beano and the Dandy. Yeah. Eventually the Victor and the Hotspur, kind of boys' own adventure stories. And, eventually kind of dipping into American comics. But we had a little grocery shop in the village, and he would have American comics pinned up on a kind of clothesline above the counter with clothes pegs. And so you had to sort of look at them and then ask him to get them down for you. And, you might get issue number 275, but then you might not see the next one for about 3 or 4 issues. So you couldn't keep a story going. So it was quite frustrating in a way. So it tended to be the British comics I went for, the kind of the gung-ho boys stories of the 60s.
Did that move on throughout your teens then, or did you stop reading? Or
No, I mean, it went right through, and eventually it would have morphed into, it was like, Tiger and stuff, Lion and Tiger. There were some pretty kind of horror. There was kind of, EC style horror comics came and went. And then, eventually along came 2000 AD, and I was a huge fan of 2000 AD right from the start.
I think it seems to be every British child who enjoys comics. 2000 AD seems to be the one that sort of really pulls them in.
Well, it was as important as the Beatles. It's like everybody, people who started reading 2000 AD, it was different, it was exciting, it was funny, it was satirical, it was hard-edged, it was all of those things. And many people went off and thought, well, maybe I can have a go at that. And so it spawned a whole industry of British comic writers and artists who eventually seemed to take over America as well as the UK. And a lot of the people who read the comics, if they didn't get into comics because they couldn't write or draw, went into other things. So they tried to be creative. So, it was a huge thing for my demographic, for people who were in their teens and working class in the 70s. It was a kind of art form you could get into, and it was an art form that didn't dismiss you.
That's true. Yeah, it didn't treat children like children. Everybody could read it. That was the great thing about it. Still is the case today, to be fair. Was there a particular...
it's the thing I've always loved about comics. If you get totally hooked on a comic, my God, it's going to be an expensive business for you. But when you walk into a comic shop and you say, oh yeah, it's £3, I can afford that. It's the price of a cup of coffee. So you'll go in and you'll buy your comic, and okay, then you find out, oh shit, there's 20 in the series. That's going to cost me £60 just to get the whole run of these. But you can swap them. If you've got mates, you can swap them, and they're always there. They'll always be there. And just today, bizarrely, I was hunting through old boxes in the garage, and there was one box that just said, what did it say? I don't even remember what it said. But it had manuscripts of novels in it and stuff. But it also had a Doctor Who magazine celebrating the 10th anniversary of Doctor Who.
Oh, wow.
So it was a Radio Times special with John Pertwee, I think it was on the cover. 30p it cost. And, the Ian Rankin, who would have been, what would I have been, 13, 14 when I bought that? Read it, treasured it, kept going back and reading it again, and then felt it was valuable enough that I would keep it.
Yeah.
So it's lovely that there's that connection. So when I found that and flicked back through it, it took me straight back to childhood.
Were there any particular characters in 2000 AD that stood out as your favourite at the time?
I was always a fan of Judge Dredd, but I liked the kind of quirky ones. I liked DR and Quinch. Alan Moore's kind of time twist stories, anything he did, I really went for. I wasn't so keen on Rogue Trooper back then. Oh. I liked, was it Sam Slade?
Robo Hunter,
like a kind of private eye type guy, but hunting robots and stuff, Robo Hunter. There were definitely, I loved Slane, but most of that was just for the mind-boggling art. I just thought, what are these artists on? I don't know what drugs they've got, but I wish I could source some of them in Scotland. You couldn't create art like that on a couple of pints of Tartan Special, or a couple of whiskies.
So how did you yourself get into writing then?
Well, I'd always done it. Go back to me when I was getting into comics in the early days, when I was 9, 10, 11, 12. I was an obsessive kid, so it wasn't enough to read them. I wanted to write them, so I would get bits of paper and fold them in half to make 4-page booklets, and I would break them up into squares and have little stick men running around, little stick characters running around, and there'd be a kind of war story and a football story and a spaceman story, stuff like that. And I would stick little free gifts on the front as an enticement. So I would make a badge or something with some bit of cardboard and some sticky tape and a safety pin and put that in the front. So right from the get-go, I wasn't just enough to consume it. I wanted to actually be creating it as well. But, I was rubbish. I couldn't draw. So that dream died quite early on. And it took the best part of 30 to 40 years before comics came calling, and Vertigo said, "Hey, have you ever thought about writing a comic? We've seen some interviews with you. We know you're a fan of comics." I said, "What kept you guys?" I've been waiting for the phone to ring for decades. So yeah, a kind of dream come true. But comics were the first thing I tried, but I wasn't very good at it. Then I tried song lyrics for non-existent pop groups. Had no musical abilities whatsoever. So my pop group had to exist in my head and on paper. And that was the beginning of it. I mean, that was the beginning of me using my imagination, I think, to escape the kind of tight confines of the working class village where I grew up.
So you say the comic you wrote, that was at the Dark Entries? Constantine,
no, I mean, the one
then?
I eventually wrote for Vertigo was Dark Entries. Yeah. And they'd said, do you want to, give us something, do you have any new material you want to try out, or do you want to take one of our characters? Mm-hmm. I was a bit naive because it was really a crime series. I mean, the Vertigo were doing this crime series, but I said, what can I do? John Constantine, he's my favourite character. Mm. And he is a kind of private detective anyway. Yeah. And he's got the kind of the Mac, he's got the kind of long trench coat and the bottle of whiskey in the bottom drawer kind of thing. So he's got the vibe of a private detective. It just happens to deal with the supernatural. But they gave me pretty free rein. It wasn't the most satisfactory experience. There were several reasons for that. Number one, I didn't realize it was going to be in black and white. I thought it was going to be in color. Mm-hmm. And because some of the comic is set in hell, I was really looking forward to seeing hell in colour, but it didn't happen. And also the artist I was working with, there was no direct contact between us. Everything went through New York. So I was sitting in Scotland. The artist, I think, is Italian. He's got a kind of Spanish name, but I think he's Italian. Mm. I say Spanish, it probably is an Italian name. And everything got filtered through Will Dennis, the editor in New York. So there was never any direct contact. And I've, since then I've met quite a few comic book writers and artists, and they all say it's much, much, much more fun if you've got a closer working relationship. Mm. So although that was a great thing to do, I mean, look, first time comic and you get 200 pages. Yeah. I mean, not many first time comic book writers get a 200-page comic to play with. No. So that was an absolute treat. And I've not done much since. I did something for Clint, which was Mark Miller's comic that he started with Jonathan Ross a while ago. Okay. And I did a one-off for them. And then I've done this one with Sean Phillips. And that's about it. I mean, I think Vertigo did say, look, if you get any other ideas, do come back to us. Mm-hmm. But life gets in the way and other projects get in the way, and it's never quite happened. So obviously your main project that you're constantly doing is Rebus. What is it that pulls you back to keep working on that character? I don't know. I mean, I think I'm like Dr. Jekyll and he's Mr. Hyde. He's like the flip side of my character. He's the sort of darker side of my character. He has all the adventures. He gets into all the scrapes. He's allowed to break the rules all the time in a way that I would be very embarrassed to do. Mm-hmm. He's always got a great comeback line. He smokes and drinks as much as he likes, and it never seems to have any effect on him. Whereas I'd be in bloody hospital if I tried the lifestyle that he's had for the last 30 years. So all kinds of reasons. And, Edinburgh is a huge character in the stories, mm-hmm. and I enjoy exploring Edinburgh and showing people from Edinburgh, but also people who live outside Edinburgh, what this city is. There is more to it than you might imagine if you've only visited it as a tourist. So there's a lot, and you can use the crime novel to say a lot of things about human nature, big moral questions about good and evil. You can take on politics. You can take on the state of the world just now, social issues. You name it, the crime novel does it, because the detective has access to every layer of society from the very top to the very bottom. So, the kinds of stories I want to tell can best be told in crime novel form. And so far, Rebus has been the guy who has helped me tell those stories. I would love to see him in comics, by the way. I would love to see a Rebus comic. But I'm not sure I'd be the one to write it. I want someone else to do it for me. Okay. So, in respect to that, and obviously you've just, to say, created this comic with Sean, and that in particular, it's only a short, it's 8-page? Yeah, 8. I think, I can't remember, they said it had to be sort of between 5 and 10 or something like that. And originally it was going to be 6, but there was stuff I really wanted to get in there. So, and also I was trying to cram as many drawings into each page as I could. And Sean said, whoa, let's let it breathe a little bit. It was like I had a ridiculous amount of panels when I wrote it. And he's going, how the hell am I going to stick this into 8 pages? So we trimmed it and paired it, and he worked his magic, and we got it to work. So, there was a little bit of toing and froing. There was quite a lot of him saying, I'm not sure this is going to quite work like that. Should we try something different? The ending was different in the original story, and the way we got to the ending was different in the original story. And the feedback I was getting from the editor and from Sean was that doesn't quite work, and we could tighten this up and stuff. So I made a few changes, and this is all a learning experience. I like to be stretched as a writer, and when you're writing novels and people say, oh, look, he's been doing it for 30 years, he probably knows what he's doing. But with comics, people know, well, he's not been doing it for that long. He might not know what he's doing. Let's give him some feedback and let's see if we can improve this. And that's really an enjoyable part of the process, is learning what you can and cannot do with a script layout. When I did the original Dark Entries, the only comic book script I had seen was some Alan Moore pages from Watchmen. And you know what he's like. So there was like pages and screeds and screeds and screeds of information for every panel. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's how you do it. So I had ridiculous amounts of information for every panel. And then I learned from comic book writers, no, really, you don't need that. You don't need that. We're not all Alan Moore. Come on. Trust the artist. Trust the artist. Give him some leeway. And so that was very helpful for me in stuff I've done since.
I can say the comic you created, Sean, as I was saying before, it is a beautiful piece of work. It's so short, but it tells you so much.
Yes.
Within those pages. So
yeah, I wanted it to be. They said, look, it's World War I and its aftermath, and I look around me at the games industry, the computer games industry, and we don't go to war anymore. We haven't gone to war for quite a long time. But there's still that sort of violence in society that has to be let out somehow. I thought it'd be interesting if someone who's involved in that world actually then be faced with the real consequences of war, rather than just something that happens on a screen. Yeah. So that was the starting point for it. And of course, Edinburgh has Rockstar North. We've actually got a computer games company, a big one based here. The people behind Grand Theft Auto. So I thought, well, it's not unrealistic that this story could be set in Edinburgh. I did say to Sean, it doesn't need to be set in Edinburgh, but I would like it if it was set in Edinburgh. And he went, yeah, I've got no problem with that. And he's done a lovely job of actually just showing little glimpses of Edinburgh in the background.
I'm going to have to look into it a bit more deep. I've missed that.
Yeah.
But no, it's gorgeous work, and I'm looking forward to
I've been a fan of Sean's from a long time. I knew Ed Brubaker's work, because I like crime fiction. And Ed is probably the foremost exponent of crime fiction in the graphic novel. I thought Sean Phillips must have been American. When I found out Sean Phillips was kind of Lancastrian or based in the Northwest, I thought, bloody hell. And I did an event down in Lancaster many years ago, book festival, and, met up with Sean for a drink, met a few people, met Andy Diggle, a few people from the comics world, and just got on so well with them. And so that was exciting. I don't know, we're all fans of comics. We're all fans. I think that's the main thing. Whenever I meet up with, Mark Miller or Neil Gaiman or somebody, we're all fans of the form. We're all fans of the genre. And we love what it can do. And the thing about comics is they can do things the novel can't do. You get that immediate eyeball blistering sense of wonder when you turn a page and there's an extraordinary panel. Whereas books, it's about a slow burn. A book is about a slow burn. Whereas a comic, the one panel can just blow you away. The way that a line in a poem can blow you away. I'm also very jealous of poets because they can say in a line what it takes me 300 pages to say.
You mentioned there Mark Miller. Obviously, Scotland has got some amazing comic talent. We're going to see a lot of them at the Lakes Festival this year. What is it you think that Scotland brings that creates these amazing creators?
I don't know. I think a lot of it comes back to DC Thompson. It comes back to those comics of my youth. When you realise they were all coming out of Dundee, And even the Sunday paper, the most successful Sunday paper at that time, the Sunday Post, came out of Dundee and had Oor Willie and the Bruins, two iconic Scottish cartoon strips. Well, I mean, all us kids were growing up with that. We were growing up with DC Thomson. We were growing up with the notion that people in Dundee were creating these amazing worlds, these alternative universes. The Bash Street Kids and Dennis the Menace and Desperate Dan were all coming out of Dundee. And that, I think, enthused an entire generation and possibly still does. And also a lot of I mean, that then clashed with punk. And I think that was quite important that punk came along. And so you had a lot of working class kids who suddenly thought, we can do anything. You don't have to have gone to the right school. You don't have to be able to afford lots of equipment. You just have to have some attitude. And a lot of the attitude, the working class Scottish attitude, was very left-leaning and also quite anarchic. And that fed nicely into 2000 AD. So when people like Alan Grant and Cam Kennedy got down to 2000 AD, they took that with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, say the names of the people that come into the festival from Scotland this year, there's some amazing talent, and I must admit, be intrigued to see everybody together. Have you got any ideas what you're doing for the festival of the?
No, they've not told me yet.
No,
I don't know. I'll pass on that. I think I'm there the Friday and Saturday, and then something like first thing Sunday morning, I've got to hoof it down to Cheltenham. I'm doing a gig in Cheltenham that day. So I've got a couple of nights there. I mean, I'm hoping to bump into a few old mates, people I've not seen for a while. Maybe I'll bring some comics along and get them signed. I'll just yesterday I was in Forbidden Planet in Edinburgh. No, not yesterday, the day before. Getting Saturday. I was in getting me fix of the latest comics. So I got the new Mark Miller one. I got the latest Brew Baker and Sean Phillips, Kill or Be Killed.
That's coming to an end, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, next one. That's me up to 19 now. Number 20 is the last one.
I don't want it to end.
Hope they all tie it together nicely. And Gail Simone, the American writer, I really like. Is it Simone or Simon? I've never very sure. It's got an E on the end. But Gail does some fantastic stuff. So I picked up Domino and Plastic Man. She's just Plastic Man #1. I remember Plastic Man. Plastic Man, yeah, I remember it from the 60s. It was completely wild and psychedelic, and just that humor was so bizarre. That was a great comic. So, and from the first issue of this one, she's doing it justice.
I need to try that. I've seen a lot of advertisement for that. Yeah, no, let's give that a go. Is there any particular character you'd like to take on writing for?
I prefer my comic book heroes and villains to be human. Mm-hmm. So I'm not keen on the kind of the super aliens like Superman. Mm-hmm. Much keener on Batman. Always was much keener on Batman or Spider-Man. Somebody who's human. And I mean, John Constantine, because he is 90% human, was one of my favorites because he's one of the most human and fallible and flawed characters in comic book history. Having said that, it's some beautiful stuff in Swamp Thing. I mean, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run was amazing. And again, there's that lovely backstory and history with the ecosystem and ecology. And there's a kind of this big story being told there, that is getting to us through osmosis about looking after the planet. And I like that. I mean, I like the fact that you think you're just getting a little bit of something to entertain you over a half hour or an hour, and what you're actually getting is a lesson in that we should be looking after the planet a bit better than we are. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Batman would be great. But I don't know what I could do with him that's not already been done. Jesus, they've done everything, haven't they?
Bring him to Scotland, Edinburgh.
Bring him here.
Well, he's been to Edinburgh, man. He's been to Edinburgh. I think Alan Grant took him to Edinburgh. I vaguely remember years and years ago. Somebody took him to Edinburgh. I mean, I don't know. Rebus and Batman.
There you go.
That'd be intriguing.
In fact, I think it was when Alan Grant was writing Batman and I was living in France. And I knew Alan Grant was thinking of taking Batman to Edinburgh, and I actually got his phone number and phoned him up and said, look, if you want to take him to Edinburgh and he needs to meet a cop, make it Rebus.
Yeah.
And he said, I think for contractual reasons we couldn't do that because DC wouldn't have the rights to the character. So it never happened. That would have been great.
That would have.
Something we're doing on the podcast is looking at sort of new creators and how you start in the industry, whether it's be writing or drawing or whatever. What advice would you give to new writers, whether they're writing novels, comics?
Oh, you've got to have a thick skin because you're going to get a lot of rejections. You're going to get knockbacks, and you've got to learn what criticism, what feedback is useful and what isn't, because not all the feedback you get will be useful to you. And that's just a learning process. That's just, you eventually learn. Some are slower than others to learn. You've got to get lucky. You've got you need a break. Everybody needs a break. And once you've got lucky and been published, you need to stay lucky. That's general advice for everybody. But you can look at the market. You can see what kind of stories aren't being told. You've got to look for stories you want to tell that you don't think anybody else is telling. All of that's important, and make friends, because a lot of other people will be going through the same thing you are. You're not alone. And when you team up with these other people, you become a team, and that can be really helpful in not only helping you to learn the craft, but also giving you strength so that you can go up against the industry and show them that you've got something they need.
Wise words.
That is, yeah, very.
So you've got another book. You've got another book out this year for Rebus, is that
October. So I've got a play coming out in September. Rebus, the stage play, is coming out in it's going to be world premiere in Birmingham, and then it's going to Edinburgh after that, and hopefully touring after that.
Nikki's face here, Joel's just dropped. She's excited.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but the only dates I've got so far are Birmingham, which is mid-September, and Edinburgh early October. But I mean, they're hoping to tour it and then take it to London eventually. And then the novel comes out early October, so I'm doing some events for that. Then I'm heading off to Canada on tour with it, then back to the UK with more events to do with the book up till Christmas. And then I think touring the States January, February. So yeah, it's busy.
You don't get a break, yeah, and it's back to
writing. Writing the books is the easy bit, man. I'll tell you, writing the books is the easy bit.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ian. We hope to see you up in October. We'll come and. We want to autograph on
definitely. And I mean, I'll be there. If you don't see me anywhere else, look for me in the bar.
That's superb. Thank you very much.
I doubt I'll be the only Scottish writer artist at the bar.
No, I reckon there'll be a fair few. And I think
all right, folks. Nice talking to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ian.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
How do? Welcome to Breakdowns, the comic art section of the podcast. I'm Pete Taylor. I'm a small press comics creator and illustrator. Online, I trade as This Man, This Pete. I'm very pleased to say I have a guest today, following on from the chat about how to make your own comic that I had with the pod bosses Ian and Nikki. I'm going to talk about how to print your own comic with Adam Smith, digital marketing manager of Mixam. Hi, Adam.
Oh, hi, Pete. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm sure most people are just glad I am not yakking about Jack Kirby for once. So it's great to have you on.
Has it been 5 episodes so far?
It actually got to 9. Can you tell us a little bit about Mixam?
Yeah, sure. Right, so Mixam, like you say, we're an online print company, and we've got this kind of revolutionary smart system where you come on the website and we've got an instant price calculator. You can do all the different options, and it throws prices back at you instantaneously. We started off printing magazines, funny enough, and it was only when we had increasing numbers of people, including a couple of big indie comic printers, coming to us to print their comics, that we sort of went, well, maybe we should set up a comic page. And things have gradually taken off from there. We seem to be doing rather well.
Yeah, I mean, now, full disclosure, I did print my latest comic, Monster Kids, with Mixam, but that was before this interview was arranged. Now, you got in contact with the pod bosses, didn't you? Because
the comic podcast bosses actually got in touch with us, because we've printed. We ended up by some kind of fluke. We ended up printing the UK's biggest ever comic Kickstarter for the Etherington brothers.
Another one.
I think when you draw by Lorenzo.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been with Mixam for about 4 months now. Prior to recently, the company's never really done any marketing. It's just run on the success of their platform. So this is all very new to them. So I saw that, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So we've got a couple of samples coming to the office. We did a little video, and I spoke to Lorenzo directly. I was like, is it okay if we show this? He was like, yeah. And he's really encouraging, enthusiastic. Anyway, we put the video up. I got Nikki, who did all the production on the book and everything, to actually talk on the video while I was there, trying not to shake, holding my phone, filming it all. And then it went out on across all our different social platforms. And then Ian commented on Facebook saying about the podcast. And I thought, well, let's get in touch and see what happens. And then the next thing I know, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that Kickstarter, I backed that myself. I've bumped into the Etheringtons a lot on the contrail. They're an amazing pair. They seem to get a mention on every episode of this podcast. I think we need a little Etherington bell or klaxon or something at the mention, but well deserved. I mean, I've not received my package yet, so I'm desperately waiting the delivery of that. But yeah, it looks amazing. I can't wait to get that.
Yeah, the books are absolutely, I mean, just being a print geek, the books are absolutely beautiful, and that's before you even get into the content. The content itself, all the drawings, the ideas, and I mean, the thought behind it all. Lorenzo teaches you how to draw everything from buildings to tanks to even like sausage dogs.
Yeah.
All the proportions and the movement. It's such a wonderful book. Obviously, I've got one off the print press, but I'm going to keep it because in the future, when I eventually have children and they start learning to draw, I want to have that book nearby for them to learn from. I think it's absolutely revolutionary what he's done.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I mean, you did mention earlier one of the main reasons why I did order Monster Kids through you guys. Mm-hmm. And that is you're probably the only online printing website I've found that has an online ordering section for comics. Mm-hmm. Where you can generate an instant quote, because I've done a lot of comics for myself and for various art groups. And one of the most frustrating parts of the job is generating those quotes to begin with. A lot of places you've got to email and you've got to kind of wait for them to come back with the numbers. But on your website, you've got a comic page. You can generate that information straight away.
Yeah, it's apart from the fact that our prices and quality are fantastic, it's our biggest selling point. The website is ridiculously fast. It's so quick.
Yeah.
And the reason why we call it our instant price calculator is that you've got all the options in front of you in your little dashboard, and you've always got the prices on the right-hand side, and you can change the quantity from like 10 to 20, change the papers, change the lamination, whether you want to cover, how many pages you want, absolutely anything. And on the right-hand side with the prices, it just spins around with new prices instantaneously. Because what's going on behind the scenes, and this is where Mixam's slogan of the smart way to print comes from, is that we've got kind of our smart ordering system, which integrates with a bunch of smart print factories dotted around Europe and the UK.
Right.
So what customers are sitting there going, oh, wow, it's great, it's just giving me the price instantaneously. But what it's actually doing, it's referencing this huge system and database behind the scenes, which is pulling all the information from all the different factories to give you the best price,
right,
and tell you which machines it's all going to, like print machines it's going to run on, whether it's digital or litho. And it will actually select the factory, not just based on price and quality, etc., because we always try and give you the best price and turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
If one of those factories is at capacity, the system knows to pick from a different factory.
Right. Okay.
So that's how all the magic happens in the background. But for you guys, you don't think about any of that. You just kind of go, oh, wow, it's so easy and instantaneous.
Yeah.
And we make the whole customer journey really quick and easy.
You just pulled the curtain back on the wizard there.
Our developer is absolutely amazing, Effie. And his philosophy is about how systems should work and that we make systems to fit to people people, not force people to fit the system.
Yes.
That gives you all the creative freedom. And as you probably experienced, you can go in, you can get all these quotes, you can upload your artwork, you can play around with it, and you can play around with everything. You don't, until you pay right at the end, you can do absolutely everything. You can save all the artwork in there. So you don't have to commit immediately.
No.
Which I feel is a really nice feature as well.
Definitely. I mean, getting rid of the confusion as well by having its own comic section. You've got all of the proper sizing there, so and you're not having to have that confusing journey, which I know a lot of some fellow creators. If you go to a website and you're confronted with a leaflet or booklet, and they're looking for a comic section, so I mean that journey's straight away. You're funneled into the right product, and then when you get down to the sizing, you're not having to get a custom quote, which I've had to do quite a few times for sizes like US comic size. It's not a standard printed size, is it, on a lot of sites?
No, absolutely not. I went along to MCM London Comic Con in May, and sort of to get a feel for it, to see if it was worth us kind of really going after comics and how much demand there was, and to talk to various people that were indies who were self-publishing. And there's a couple of guys I was talking to, and they said to me, because we just launched in the US, and they said to me, "Oh, do you do US sizes?" And I went, "Yeah, absolutely," thinking, well, yeah, we've launched in the US, we do inches. No, what they actually meant was, do you do US standard comic size?
Yeah.
But of course, I got the contact details of various indies, and then spoke with them about it, and they were like, no, there's a standard UK size, there's a standard US size, there's a standard manga size. It's like, right, okay, go speak to my FEA developer, Effie, can we offer these? Like, get the dimensions and I'll see. And he just threw the page up within a day, and it all integrated beautifully with all the different systems, and away we went. So previously people were coming to our magazine page and kind of forcing it to do what they wanted, but now we've got this comics page, and it's just nice and simple.
Yeah, it's great to have all of the sort of standard sizes there. I mean, for me, when I started producing my own comics and comics for the art group that I set up, it was, governed largely by what funding we had. So we started off on A5s, and then when we generated enough money, we moved on to US size. And at the time, that seemed to dominate the cons. But now, the variety of size that's available from a lot of creators' tables is phenomenal. There is the manga size, there is this square bound landscape. People really do, want to experiment, I think, at the moment in getting different products on their tables. Let's talk about paper.
Okay.
Now, on most printing sites, I've usually had the very limited choice of silk or gloss, which can be a bit frustrating when, I was looking to do a project recently that was a little more nostalgic. I wanted something that was, a little more kind of 70s, early 2000 AD, a little kind of black and white with a gloss cover. Now, I was thinking of going down the newsprint route.
Oh, God,
It was quite sort of a trend for a while, wasn't it, really, the newsprint titles?
Yeah, I got asked about it a couple of weeks ago. Joseph Oliveira from Afterlight Comics prints with us, and he was asking me loads of stuff about this, and he was like, "Oh yeah, there's this little printer in America. They bought up an old newspaper printing press, and people are printing like old newspaper comics." And he's like, "Can you guys do that?" And or can you do anything similar? And we're like, "Well, we can't do that because we, traditionally we're set up as a magazine print, although we print loads of other stuff now."
Yeah.
But I said to him, "Well, I can see the prices of these comics," and I said, "Well, I kind of feel that your work is worth so much more than that." I mean, I remember growing up as a kid getting issues of like the Beano and the Dandy. They were printed on newspaper, weren't they?
Yeah, the newspaper. Yeah, and rarely had more than one colour, wasn't it? Black and maybe a red or a blue sometimes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very linked to colour palette.
Yeah.
And I can see the appeal, but indie artists and writers put so much work into their creations. I mean, I'd be heartbroken if, they put all this work in, because, like, the Beano was done for mass distribution on a huge scale.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, I used to get my grease. I mean, of course, I'm an adult now and I've got greasy fingers. And I was thinking, I'd be so heartbroken to get someone's beautiful artwork they put loads of time into, and it just goes, and I smudge the whole thing.
Yeah.
We can do something similar, I guess, with like uncoated, recycled, or natural paper, which we offer, and we do a really low paperweight, like GSM.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just clicking around on the site now. We can go down to like 80 GSM for all of those, which would get you a similar effect, but without worrying about like greasy fingers smearing the ink.
I think that's the conclusion I came to. Really, what I was after was a matte paper, which you offer, and like you say, you offer more than one. So you can recreate the texture, you can recreate the colour of a newsprint on a decent paper. Your approach to the customer sending you your files is great as well, because it's very jargon free. I mean, much like the sizing and it having its own section, having a system that accepts files that are in RGB, which, I mean, nobody really knows, I think, a lot of the time, if they're a part-time creator or not a professional, that there is a whole other system in place for, commercial print. But people who are using software nowadays like Clip Studio or doing their art on iPads, the native way that's produced is in RGB, and people don't necessarily want that extra job of sometimes having to convert it before they send it to a printer. And they don't have to worry about that really now in the system, do they?
No, it's like I say, it's our developer's wonderful approach to everything, which is, you accommodate people, and he doesn't like to say no to anyone. We always say yes. So somebody could put in some information that isn't quite correct, and he doesn't believe that the fault is with the user, because we're all human.
Yeah.
He believes that the system should be advanced enough to understand what the human means. In the same way that you and I can have a conversation, I might make a slip up, but you know what I mean. And he wants the system to be able to pick that up. In the same way that we know we don't want to turn anyone away. We know that people may not have produced their work to like a leading professional standard.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to print with us, because there's simple things that the system can do to automatically tweak these things or give options to come up with an easy solution. And then failing that, we've got this amazing customer support team who pick all this stuff up and advise people how to make small changes.
Yeah.
To then go to print as quickly and easily as possible. Yeah, with comics it's nice and straightforward, because all we need to do is, okay, you sort of plan and you draw your artwork and everything. You give it a 3mm bleed on whether you're doing A4, A5 size or whatever. You put the whole thing into a PDF and separate it out by single pages.
Yeah.
So you don't have to upload a page at a time. You just do one PDF, you upload it to the system, it auto-populates in the order that you uploaded it. So page 1 of the PDF would be the front cover, page 2 would be the inside front cover, then you've got all the pages in between, and then the last 2 pages of your PDF would be the inside back cover and the back cover.
It's brilliant. And you also store an online digital version, is that right, on every order?
Yeah, there's loads of ways you can share it. So you can also share it to like Facebook, Twitter, wherever. And it's only accessible if you share the link with somebody. So there's also a feature where you can embed it on your website, which quite a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So if it's like a free magazine that goes online, people can read it online. So that's been really popular, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, let's end on a recommendation from you.
Okay.
What's your favourite recent comic read?
Ooh. Funny enough, this goes back to when I was at the MCM London back in May. I was just walking around the comic village, having a look at stuff, chatting to people, spent way more money than I expected. But I walked past this one guy's stand, and the designs of his comics were so good. It kind of like just grabbed the sheer colours, the way they jumped out, just kind of grabbed me by the retinas and dragged me straight over to his stand. There's a guy called Patrick Warren, fairly young guy. I don't know if he's recently out of uni. I don't know a great deal about him. Really nice guy though. We were chatting away about different things, and instantly I was just like, right, I'm just going to buy your 3 books. I say books, they're quite thin, but they're really well done, really nice. He's got a comic series called Necropolis, and the kind of like the colours and the glowy effect he's got on these little perfect bound comic books. It just looks lovely. The artwork's great, the story's great, dialogue's really good. I truly feel that he's one to watch.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining me, Adam. Where can the listeners get in touch with Mixam?
Right, well, obviously, the next time you guys want to print some comics, please come and check out Mixam. That's spelled mixam.co.uk/comic books. Check out the instant price calculator. Obviously, check out the prices and see what you think. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mixam Print, and you'll see all the cool stuff that we regularly share from a variety of our customers. Quite a lot of it is comics at the moment, but there's quite a bit of like magazines and other things in there as well.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks, Adam. And
thanks, Pete. I'm really glad that you've asked me to come on.
Yeah, no, I'm sure everybody else is, so don't yak any more about Kirby. Brilliant. Thanks for listening, everyone. You can find me at thismanthispete on Instagram and Twitter. Email me at thismanthispete@gmail.com. My comics are available at thispete.bigcartel.com, and my website is at thismanthispete.com.
Say how much of a gent Ian Rankin really was.
Yeah,
we were really nervous.
So nervous
about interviewing him.
And then it all went wrong to start with.
Yes, it kept disconnecting or wouldn't connect properly.
And then you said about the Wikipedia thing twice.
Yes, I said
I was trying to kick you under the table.
Really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But he was a lovely guy, considering he's so well known. He's done so much within the literary world.
He's worked with professional people. Darling.
Yes, professional interviewers, not us.
Not us.
But his love of comics came out as well.
Yeah.
Definitely, he adores comics, and I'd like to see Mike's reviewed Dark Entries, which we've read as well.
We read that one, yeah.
I'd like to see him do more.
Yeah,
really would. Hopefully down the line. As I say, the book that's coming out, we've read this piece that he's done with Sean.
Yes,
and it is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's for such a short page. It's only a few pages. It really is as good as we say.
Yeah.
Next episode, we've got Robbie Morrison, who's done the same thing with Charlie Adlard.
Yes,
and again. His seems to follow on, which we need to question about from White Noise, the book that they've done
White
together.
Noise or White Death?
White Death, sorry.
White Noise?
White Noise, a film. Michael Keaton, brilliant movie. I love it.
Yeah, but
Don't watch White Noise too.
Really not anything to do with White Death, which is about avalanches.
Yes, slight opposite. So, yeah, this creation that they're doing, it seems to be really different to what I originally thought it would be, because when they said they were doing an anthology on World War One, I thought, it's going to be tanks and soldiers in.
Yeah, but they really got a different way.
It's all modern takes on the past in some ways.
Yes, yeah.
So far, from what we've read anyway, it might not all be like that.
We've read 2.
Yeah, but from what they're really intriguing, interesting, thought provoking.
Yes, that's definitely what they are. Is thought provoking
pieces of work. So, right, bit of news. Bit of news from the festival.
Go.
First of all, I'm off in 2 weeks' time as we're recording this to a comedy writing workshop.
Yes. Does anyone want to go with him?
Come and write some comedy with me. It's being held in Kendal in 2 weeks' time. The price, I think, is £27, which
something like that. Yeah.
For
it's
a writing
hours
workshop,
and hours and hours.
Like 6 hours, I think it is.
Yeah.
And that is cheap. The festival has taken some of the impact of the cost for this to get it out there. So there's limited places.
Yes.
So if you're in Kendal, you're interested, pop along to the Facebook page.
Yep. All along to the brewery.
information's on there. I'm not sure if it's up at the brewery.
Oh, is it not?
No, because it's not being done by the brewery.
Okay, so it's just hosted at the brewery.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page. I'll put a link on the podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really interesting. Well, I'm going, so you know.
Well, there you go.
And I will be more hilarious.
Is that even possible?
The jokes I've been ploughing out this week, love.
I've blanked
they're not,
most
they're
of
not
them.
fit for podcast.
They're not fit for anything, really.
What?
No. Maybe it will teach you how to write. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I don't write, do I? My mind just...
it just pops out of your mind, does it? Yeah. Is that how your mind works?
Yeah.
It's just
jokes,
blowing up.
Joke-splosions.
Joke-splosions.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the name of your autobiography, isn't it?
It explodes into nothingness. It's
the anthology of Ian's
It's like those
jokes.
cheap fireworks from Poundland.
Oh, you're more like that one that's a snake that just turns into the indoor one.
Yeah, but that's amazing.
Yeah, but it does look like a poo.
Yeah, but it's the best thing ever. Because it keeps going.
That's like you, dear. These bad jokes just keep coming.
I thought it was the best thing ever and I just keep going. I thought that's what you're saying. No.
No.
Okay. The festival as well, on the Friday, has revealed the Friday sessions.
Wow, who needs any effects when you can do it all yourself?
I've actually got echo effects on
I was
me.
going to say, you could have done that with your little box.
I'm not even going to mess with it.
Please don't.
So on the Friday of the festival, the 12th of October, they do this every year. Mm-hmm. They have academic sessions where they like talk serious about comics.
I take it we're not invited, are we?
Anyone can go this year. This is a different thing. They're opening it up this year. So there's limited tickets, but anyone can go along and listen to all the events. It's £20 or £15 for kids, and that gives you the full day's pass to listen to the sessions. A couple of examples. The Comixopolis. Christopher Murray, Professor of Comic Studies at the University of Dundee, will explore the history of comics in Dundee from the late 19th century to the present. You've got the Keynote 2, Comic Art, Comics and Art. The session comprises a personal take on the origins and histories of comic art. Benoit Peters, who's up at Lancaster University at the moment. The chair is Andy Tate, Senior Lecturer in English at Lancaster University and Lancaster University's Graphic Novels and Comic Network. So it's real serious sort of side of comics, but it sounds really interesting. So I think if you're a creator or someone studying comics in any way, shape or form, or you've really got a real love of comics, this is an interesting...
or you're just intrigued.
Yeah, and if you're up here, why not?
Exactly.
Why not? The thing to note, and I'm going to make this point here, is this doesn't include the Friday night pass. So if you're going
Which
to
we've still got to go and buy.
In my opinion, is always the best event of the weekend, that Friday night opening.
It's always the most raucous.
Yes. That isn't included, so you still have to get tickets for that, which I believe are available, and they're probably available up until like a week or so before, but then they go boom.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to go. Yes, we must get ours sorted. So, check that out. Mm-hmm. So, you want to win a book?
Who doesn't?
How do you win a book?
Go on then. You've had time to think now. Come on.
I want you just to email, message, whatever, Twitter, Facebook.
Write it in the sky. Postcard.
How many creators were involved in this book? Now, we read the names out before, so
they've just got to rewind.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, did you read all of them out?
I did. Yes, I did.
Was that... I like the fact you can't silently count.
Well, no, I did, and then I stopped, so it's not as many as what it should be. So, yeah, if you fancy winning that book, it is a really interesting book.
It's a lovely hardback book.
Yeah, hardback as well, yes.
Like a hardback.
We like hardback. Yeah, just message us and tell us. Why are you pulling that face?
Because I'm going to get the giggles. I'm fine.
Message and tell us. We'll reveal the winner next episode
of
the podcast.
Indeedy do.
Which will be out on the 1st of August.
Oh, the summer's rushing away from us.
We're going on holiday too.
We are.
Down to Devon.
Why
have we, considering neither of us are Yorkshire. That's now a thing. Why did we both go Yorkshire to go down to Devon?
I don't know. Because can either of us do a Devon accent? All right, my lovers.
There you go. I say you can.
I lived there for like 3 years or something.
Do we get to eat custard?
To eat custard?
Yeah.
Devonshire custard?
Yeah.
Should we go and find the Ambrosia place?
Yeah. Do they do tours?
It's probably not even in Devon.
Probably isn't. So Robbie Morrison will be next, and I'm hoping we've got another massive guest for the 15th of August. I've emailed this person.
Have you even told me?
Yes.
Oh, I've forgotten.
Okay. They had a film made very recently.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
No, I remember now.
Well done.
Thank you.
We've got a list of names that we just want to get on the show, and we're hoping we'll
Yes.
get him on. Fingers crossed. There you go. There's the thing. Him.
There
you go.
That now is it down to 50%?
Brilliant, isn't it? Other than that, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you check out Nikki's work at nikkidraws.pictures.
Yes. I've still got some left. I can still sell.
Still for sale.
Yep.
Check us on Twitter at Comic Art Fest Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Comic Arts Podcast. Website, comicartpodcast.uk.
Crystal Ball. Pretty sure you can get us on a crystal ball.
You'll find us
probably get us on CFAX.
You'll find us in Kendall.
Just wandering around. In Kendall. Come to Morrison's.
Yeah.
Say hello to me there.
I'll say a fire alarm.
Oh yeah, set off Sizer Castle fire alarm and hear my voice.
Yes, set it off and hear the voice. Don't do that.
Don't set it off.
Don't do that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
And we will see you
anon.
That'll do.
That'll
do.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.
This podcast is part of Britpod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritpodScene.com or Britpod Scene on Twitter to find out more.